Hello, beautiful, and welcome to day one of the Incoming Papers Challenge. I'm Suzanna Kaye, your paper organizer and information specialist, and we will be going through how to build your own, for free, action file to handle all of your incoming papers, your active papers, which are all those to-dos that you still have to do something with, so you never have to worry about the piles or losing anything again. How does that sound? Ooh, I even can make fireworks somehow. That's hilarious. So I'm so glad that you are here. Let me know in the comments if you, who you are, where you're joining me from. I always love to hear that, as well as have you heard of the action file before? Have you set one up? Are you getting started back up with it or touching it up? Let me know all the things. I would love to hear where you're at in this process. And if you've never even heard of the action file before, let me know what are your biggest problems with paper, and that can help me out too. So today, during day one, we will talk about the action file. This is what it generally looks like. You can customize it to look how you want, but we will talk about what those core basic needs are. You probably have everything that you need at home already. And we will talk about the supplies that you need, so you know what to dive through your supply closet to see what you have, and as well as customizing it. I'll also go over really quickly how to use the action file, what makes it different, why it's called the action file, all those basics, right? So by the end of today, you will know what it is, you'll know how to build it, you will know the basics of how to use it. We'll go deeper into the basics of how to use it and where to keep it tomorrow. But you will have what you need to get started and be ready for tomorrow when we deep dive into how to use each of these folders and give you more examples and answer any questions that you might have and address any concerns that you might have about some of this process. Because even if you're an out of sight, out of mind person like me, this can absolutely work for you. We'll talk about some of those adjustments tomorrow. Not only that, but this is only a 3-day challenge. It's going on today, Saturday, and Sunday. This ends on April 6th, 2025. So throughout this time, I will also share some extra bonuses to help you make the most of your action file. And at the very end of this 3-day challenge, if you're interested, I will tell you more about the Paper Path course, which will help you with all the rest of your papers, all the stuff that's not active, all the stuff that's not incoming papers in mail. Where do you put that? Well, we'll talk about the Paper Path course really quickly at the end of day 3. And that way, if you are looking for a system that is just as easy as the action file, that's a bit different, that might work for you and other systems have not, then that is your chance to check out information about the Paper Path course. One easy system where all of your papers flow effortlessly to where they need to go. So if you are up for this 3-day challenge, let me know in the chat. Tell me heck yes, or whatever yes variation you want. For me, it's always a woot woot, and I'm excited to start. Over in the chat, before we hop in entirely, I wanted to say hi to Melody. She says she is a Pathfinder member. Yes, a member of our Pathfinders Plus Club. Love that. My action file can always use a little refining and needs a clean out every once in a while. Life happens, right? Hi, Diane. Glad to have you, Melody and Diane. Jana, she says round 17, I think. Jana's been a Pathfinder for quite a while in the membership. Hi, Shannon. She says new to the action file. Oh, I am excited to share this with you. Mary says, I'm here to touch up my action file. It always is nice to just see if you get another hot tip or if there's something that you might have missed. That's fantastic. Hello, Piano Deb from Jacksonville. She wants to reset. Absolutely. Papers need a reset sometimes, don't they? Pashi is here restarting the action file. Yay! Love that. Joanna says, hi from another Pathfinder. Definitely need a refresher for using my action file. Sometimes that happens when life gets crazy, right? And Deb says, ready? Yes. Sharon says, I am so ready. Well, fantastic, because so am I. Let's dive into day 1 and talk about the action file. All right, so first up, what is the action file? Why is it called an action file? What makes it different, right? I mentioned that this is the action file. So the reason it is called an action file instead of just a mail file or to-do papers file, it's called an action file because you are not filing your papers based on what type of paper they are. You file them based on what is the next action needed for that paper. So when your mail comes in, you can go, okay, well, the next thing I need to do is read through this. There's a to read folder. Maybe the next thing is, oh, I need to pay this. You can have a to pay folder. A lot of times it's, I just need to file this. This is something I need to either file or scan. There's a to files folder. You can add a to scan folder. And sometimes you have random things, like you need to enter information somewhere else from the paper, or maybe it's something where you just simply need to do something random with it. We do have a to-do folder for some of those randoms. Now, on day, I believe it's day 3, we will talk about a few custom folders that you can add that might be more specific to your life. But the goal with the action file is that it is only one file to check. And no matter what paper comes in or what paper is still active, where you have to do something with it, no matter what, there is a place for it in the action file because you are filing it by what is the next action. Not only that, but when you've already got it filed by what the next action is for it instead of the type of paper, it makes it very easy to grab that folder and do the action because that's just taken the decision and the thinking out of it. You can grab the whole folder. If you have a folder for to call, you can grab a whole folder of phone calls that you need to make and just power through those phone calls versus going through your normal pile and trying to figure out, okay, well, this one I need to call, this one I need to fill in this form. That gets a little bit stressful. So having the action file means that you always know what you need to do. You need to know, you already know what needs to be done, and there's one place for everything. So that is the general purpose of the action file. Now, of course, eventually everything within your to do, to enter, to pay, whatever action files you have are finished. So the action file itself is a temporary storage that just holds the most important to do papers for you and the things that need to be filed for you, keeps them organized so they don't get lost, and keeps those piles off of your counters, right? So this is temporary. This is where they start. Your papers start here. When they're finished, they flow into the rest of your paper system and to their final destination, whether it's your short-term files, your long-term files, a specialty area. This is the start though. So if you can just get this part wrangled in, this is the foundation of your entire paper system. If you don't have something that works for your incoming and active papers, then no matter how good the rest of your system is, it's going to fall apart, right? Because you lose the important paper or you start a pile of the important stuff and it just crumbles from there. So this is the foundation. This is that temporary storage that is going to give everything important a home. Oops, sorry. It'll give all the important papers a home, all of your mail a home, until you're done with it and it can go on to its next step. We'll talk more about the details of that tomorrow, but I wanted to make sure that you know this is the one place that everything lands, but it's not have to stay here because that would not be big enough for all your papers, I would guess, right? All right, so once it flows into that paper path system, you have space for more to come in, and you have one place that you're working on your actions from instead of multiple areas where you could have important papers that you might forget are even there and that it need to be done. I want to hop over to the comments really quickly before we talk about the different folders within the action file. So in the comments, I asked you if you were ready, and several of you said you are ready. Donna says, hello, Susanna, I need a reset. You're in the right place, Donna. Grandma C says, I have the action file. She says, hey, Susanna Kaye, I have the action file. I need to be better at using it. I still make piles. Sometimes it's just the building of the habit, and you're in exactly the right place because this will get you motivated again and get you back on that wagon. And, you know, life happens. This is the chance to reset. I love it. Joe says, hello. Welcome, Joe. Kathy says, I need a refresh for sure. And Margaret says, hello from Fort Worth, Texas. I think it's Terry, actually. I think the name just shows Margaret. Darlene, hi, Suzanna Kaye. I need to refresh my file. Thank you for introducing it to me in the past. Yay! Donna says, what is to enter again? Perfect question. I'm about to tell you. So I will use that as a segue right after I say, Jana, to remove folder for junk mail. That's one that she likes to add to her action file. So she's got a lot of junk mail that comes in that she's working on a project with. I love it. So Donna asked, what is to enter again, right? Since this is a different way of filing, not our normal filing by type, I wanted to make sure to go through some of these core files. So the core folders, these are the ones that generally you will want to have within your action file. Now, if they don't apply to you at all, it's okay. You do not need all of these. These are just the ones that I find the most people find useful. Now, tomorrow, like I said, we will talk about some additional ones that you can add in, including ones like Jana's to remove folder, which is fantastic if you're working on a clearing out the junk mail project. But to start with today, as you build your action file, these are the folders that you will want to get, okay? Now, I will say for the supplies, you want a small desktop or wall hanging file holder. You don't want this to be big. So some of those bigger crates or large filing storage boxes, those are probably too big for this and they will become overwhelming. The goal is 10 folders or fewer. I'll explain that in a little bit, why it's 10 or fewer, because there's science behind that, of course. But 10 folders or fewer, so we want the holder to be smallish. And I've got a whole list of different supplies that I like on my Amazon channel. So I can always share that link. I think I did share the link in the email with you and on this challenge schedule page. But look for something small, even if you're just building it yourself from something you have. And you will want hanging file folders. Having file folders that are not hanging make it much more difficult to work with your action file quickly. So if you come in the house with a handful of mail and some groceries and the dog's barking, maybe there's a kid yelling in the background, you know, I'm hungry, whatever. The last thing you want is to struggle with trying to pick up the file folders to get them to stand upright. So here's an example. So if you had all folders like these, just the tabbed folders, then they lean against each other and it makes it very hard and you can't easily pull. See, even I'm having a hard time right now. You can't easily pull out the folder to be able to grab what you need or put your mail in the folder that you need. So if you like these types of folders to grab, just nest them into a hanging file folder. But hanging file folders are absolutely your friend with this. You only need 10 or fewer, so it's not too bad. You probably already have some. Now the core folders, the common folder labels. Donna asked about to enter. So you will notice with each of these titles, they start with the word to because they are an action. If you cannot put the word to, T-O, in front of it, then it is probably not enough of an action title to make it very clear. All right. So to enter. To enter would be, let's see if I have my to enter one. The to enter folder, this is a great place if you have something that comes in and either the first most important thing you need to do with it or the only thing you need to do with it is just entering the information somewhere else. So some examples of when you would use the to enter folder are if you get a business card and you need to enter it in either your phone, a lot of times you're entering these things in your phone, or your address book, or if you have a business, maybe you're entering it in for business connections. Business cards and contact information are great to just throw into the to enter folder. So that way you can just enter things all in one chunk. Some other ideas are maybe you get the new insurance policy, right, for your car or something, and you need to enter the policy information to update wherever you record all of your insurance information and all of your life stuff, right? Sometimes that's the Spark Life Binder. You might have your own system, but if you just need to enter that information somewhere else, then it goes in here, right? Some other ideas, I actually will be sharing this download with you, I believe tomorrow, are website addresses maybe you want to ditch the catalogs and just keep a list of the website addresses instead, so you can shop off of those. Fantastic. Rip that page off the catalog, throw it in here, and you can have a list of the website addresses to check whenever you need to. New passwords. If you scribble down that password, then just throw it in here really quickly, so that way you can update wherever it is that you securely store your passwords. Anything like that. It can be dates to add to your calendar. If it's simply information that needs to be entered somewhere else, it goes into enter. Now, we also have to read. So to read, R-E-A-D, is anything that you just need to read it through first. So I mentioned that new insurance policy. If you are the type to read through your new policy when it comes in before you file it or before you do anything else with it, then it can go right in your to read folder, because you know that your next step with it is just to read through it really quickly, make sure that you don't have questions, nothing important changed before you do whatever your next step is, right? So popping it into the to read folder is a perfect place, because the only thing that you have to do first is read it. To read could also be anything like if you have an article that you saved, maybe you ripped it out of a magazine, maybe you printed it out, whatever it was, it can go in your to read folder. You could have, throw the whole magazine in to read. If the new one comes the next month and the old one's still in here and has not been read, maybe you can donate or let go of the old one. And you can always have the most recent one in here, or just rip out the articles you want so you can read through it. Sometimes we might have some different research, brochures from the doctor's office that you want to read through, newsletters from your HOA, or maybe something from your kid's school where it does not have to be signed and returned. It just needs to be read through. That's perfect for to read. Now, the great thing is to read, and a lot of the times to enter as well, are the perfect folders if you have a doctor's appointment, or if you have kids and you're waiting in the school line in your car to pick them up, which can take quite a while. You could grab either or both of these and take them with you. And then while you're waiting in line or at the doctor's office, you could read through several of the things right within the folder. So they're done. And it gave you something productive to do. You could enter a number of those contact numbers and information while you're sitting in line. Perfect. That way those get done and you don't waste that time just sitting around. So aside from to read and to enter, there are a couple of other ones. Depending on your setup, you will possibly want to scan. I am big into scanning things that I am done with. If I'm just keeping it in case and I don't need the original, then I do like to just scan things and let them go when I can. So if it's just informational, I'm done with it. It's not something that I'm going to need the paper copy. I most likely won't like it or won't need it to scan. So anything that needs to be scanned, and that's the last step usually before either to file or recycle, shred, whatever. Anything that needs to be scanned, because everything else that's important has been done with it, can go in the to scan folder. And that way, maybe while you're watching TV on the couch, you can pull out your to scan folder, and you can even use just one of the scanning apps on your phone and scan them really quickly. So you have them all in one place. It's easier to scan when you can do it in a big chunk versus having to go back and forth to scanning all the time, right? So you could just scan a bunch of things every once in a while. So that's the to scan folder. And everybody's probably going to need this one as well. To file. There are always those papers that we actually do need to keep the paper copy for. We need to keep a copy of it either just in case or because we're legally required to, whatever it is. To file is the perfect place to put anything that you are completely done with. So the to file folder is the gateway to your paper system. Once you're done with all of your actions, it can go into file, and then the next step from to file is into your either your paper path paper system or whatever paper system you have. And it just flows very easily there. The nice thing is, again, it's much easier to file a bunch of papers at once than keep going back and forth to your file cabinet. And if it's not in your file cabinet, you know right where it is. So you don't end up with piles to file later, all of those unmade decisions sitting around. You can put them right in your to file folder. And all of these that I've mentioned so far I've mentioned to enter, to read, to scan, and to file. Those 4 are the 4 core folders that really are not ones that you have to check all the time, right? So these, like I say with the file folder, when it gets full, it gets filed. Until it gets full, if you have a chance, you can file it, sure. But it's not going to hurt anything to wait until it's full to file things. You know, when it gets full, it gets read. That's okay. Normally, you have handled anything important before they even got to that stage, because the final file folder that we have is the one folder that you actually need to check on a regular basis. So your only habit that you need to create, and it's pretty easy to create it, just add it to your calendar, is check your to-do folder. So the to-do folder is the folder where if there's something that needs to be done other than entering the information in another place, which would be to enter, just reading through it, which would be to read, scanning it, or filing it, if that has a different action needed, then it can go in your to-do folder. And then this one folder is what you could get in the habit of checking to see, okay, well, what needs to be done this week? What can I do really quickly right now? This is the folder that makes sure that nothing gets lost in piles or wanders off, right? So your to-do folder is that one folder, the only folder that you need to check on a regular basis. Now, it might seem like there would be some confusion between, okay, well, what if I have, say, that insurance policy and I need to make sure to pay the bill before I read through it. And then once I read through it, if I have a problem, then I might need to make a phone call. So what if it has more than one category that it goes in for actions, right? That's 3 actions right there that you might need to do. You might need to pay something, you might need to read through it, you might need to make a phone call. And then there's always the 4th option of scanning it or filing it, right? Well, you do not have to have a paper stay in just one folder and only one folder. So what happens is the insurance policy example, it comes in and the first thing that you know that you need to do is you need to pay it. Now, for most of us, we have auto pay set up, we pay things online. So most of the time, we don't need a separate folder for to pay, right? To pay can go in with your to-dos unless you have a different system. If you have a different system for payments and you want to keep that system set up, that's fine too. Now, if that makes you nervous, you can add a to pay folder. That is okay. But it first goes into, in this case, your to-do folder, because you had to pay the bill, right? Or at least check that the auto pay went through. So the insurance policy comes in, you see what it is, you know, okay, I need to pay that or check that it gets paid. I put it in my to-do folder. And then when you go through your to-do folder that week or whatever time period is best for you, you see, oh, there's the insurance paper. I need to make sure that that auto pay went through, or I need to write a check and mail it, whatever process. So when you check your to-do folder, you see it and you've made sure that you take care of it. Usually when you take care of that, you're taking care of all the other similar things that you're already in your online banking with or writing out a check for, right? So we can batch things a lot better this way. So once it's paid though, then what? Well, once it's paid, maybe you want to just give it another a quick read through before you file it or scan it. So it's already paid. There's nothing on fire with this. There's nothing super urgent that has to be done this week or by a certain deadline. It can just go into to read because now it's paid. The only next step that you need is to read. So you can pop it into your to read folder now that it's paid, and it can live in this folder. You go to the doctor's office, sit in the lobby waiting for a while, or you find some extra time at home, you just want to read through some things, you pull out your to read folder, it's right there for you. So that way you remember to read it and you can read through it. Maybe when you read through it, you think, oh, well, I have a really quick question about that one thing that changed. So I need to make a phone call. You can either make it right then, or it can pop right back into your to-do folder because now it has a different action that's needed. So you pop it in here, next time you check your to-dos, you can see, okay, this is one of the phone calls I need to make. Boom, you make that phone call instead of forgetting or having it sitting in a pile, right? So once you've made the phone call, everything's cleared up, you're happy with the answer, what's the next action? Maybe the next action is you want to scan it, so that way you have a scan of it whenever you need it. And then once you've scanned it, it can move into file, because maybe you want to keep the paper copy even though you have the scan. That is okay to do. So maybe it goes into file, and then once you file your to file papers into your paper system, it flows right out to file and it goes to your predetermined home, wherever that is in your file system, right? If you're not sure where that is, that's okay. That's what the Paper Path course is for, how to set up an easy system with short-term, long-term files where it just flows without thinking. But that could be the lifespan of a paper in your action file, right? It can hop between folders. As soon as an action is done, if another action is needed or discovered, it can hop in between each of these. And then when it leaves, it can leave either from to file into your paper system, or maybe once you're done scanning it, maybe it gets shredded, recycled, whatever you do with it. So this is kind of a living, breathing paper ecosystem for everything important in your life. Any mail that comes in, your family can drop it quickly in what the next action is, or sometimes I have them just put it on top if you're afraid they'll misfile it. You always know what the next action is. So those are the core folders. Like I said, tomorrow we will talk about a few different types of other folders that you might want to add. Oh, there's fireworks again. A few other folders that you might want to add, depending on your situation. Most of the time, these core folders are your main folders that you'll be using now. Now, remember, since this is an action file, any new folder that you add has a 2 in front of it because it is an action. What is the next action that is needed for that item? There are a few exceptions that we will talk about tomorrow as well, but that is the general rule. All right, so really quickly, I want to go to the comments. And also, I talked about the Paper Path course, right? That teaches you the Paper Path system, super easy to set up, including how to go through all those old papers and sort them without losing your mind. But if you're interested in the Paper Path system, the course that'll teach you the Paper Path system, and that's a system that, again, you can build with things that you already have at home. So this is not something where you have to buy a bunch of supplies from me. No, this is going to teach you how to use what you have and set things up for your personality type. You can check it out at suzannakaye.live, L-I-V-E, /join-paper-path. And right now, if you join, you will get a bonus welcome party where it's a live session that will be also recorded to walk you through how to get the most of your course and the easiest way to get through it and all those special tips and tricks. So let's go to the comments. All right, so let's see. Melody says, okay, so I'll answer this really quickly, but I won't go through it in depth. I do have some really good videos on my YouTube channel that answer this question as well, though. What scan app, Melody asks, do you recommend? I have an Android phone. For me, there's a bunch of very good ones. So this does not mean that the others are not good. If somebody else has a good one, feel free to share that as an idea in the chat. But for me, I have been using Genius Scan. That's GENIUSSCAN. That is an app. They have a free version. They have a paid version that lets you just do some extra stuff. Then, yeah, that's my favorite. And it's easy because it's on your phone. So Grandma C says, I have a to-pay file. Fantastic. Yes. If the to-pay file makes you feel better knowing that it's a separate folder that you can keep an eye on, then that is perfect. I say go for it. And that just means that you have 2 folders you have to check, not just one for your habits, but it's not a very hard thing to do, right? I love that you have a to-pay folder. Rosella says, hello from New York City. Always in need of a review and a little motivation to keep things organized. Oh, wonderful. Hi, Rosella. Glad to have you here. Welcome. All right. So far, we talked about the overview. What is the action file? The fact that it's called an action file because every folder is actually an action. What is the next action needed for the folder, for the paper? Not what type of paper it is. So your to-do folder can have insurance policies, notes you scribbled to yourself and threw in there, school report cards that need to be signed, whatever it is. It can all be in one to-do folder if it's an action that's not covered by the other folders, right? Whatever the next action is, that's where you're putting the paper. So think, what do I need to do first with this paper? If there are multiple actions, that's okay. What do I need to do first? Because once I've done that, then it can hop to a different folder if it needs to. We talked about how all incoming papers, so mail, things that you bring home from work, the flyer that was stuck to your car, whatever it is, anything that comes into your home can go in one of these folders. So there is no paper that comes into your home that can't go in one of these folders unless it's a massive science project poster board. Other than that, it can go in here, right? So everything can go in one place, and you only need to check your to-do folder. That's the one habit you have. The rest, when it gets full, it gets dealt with, and that is okay. So not everything has to be urgent, and this separates out the urgent from the, I just need to read it, or I just need to enter information somewhere, right? You can tell from your to-do folder, this is the only stuff that is super important to do right away. So that can also relieve a lot of the stress, knowing that the rest of the folders aren't urgent tasks, because sometimes that huge pile of things to do can seem overwhelming until you realize half of it was to read and to enter, right? So we talked about that. We talked about that this is temporary storage. Once you've done all the things that need to be done with the paper, then it can either flow out of your home, shred, recycle, trash, whatever it is, or into your paper system. So if you need the paper path system, it can flow easily into that. Whatever system you have set up, it can flow into that as well. You do not need anything special. But this is the temporary storage while it's active. Once it's done, it just flows into your system, into the place that it's going to end up living, right? So temporary storage with the action file. Now let's, I forgot to mention, if you have any questions, let me know. I am absolutely here to answer any questions. Today's the bit of a longer talk because we're talking about next the supplies, but tomorrow we will talk about some of the custom folders. Today we'll talk about some of the supplies that you can grab. Most of them you probably have at home already, and whatever you don't have at home that you can even just build it temporarily if you need to. Like if you need to cut a cereal box, cut off the side of a cereal box to create a file holder for a while, go for it. And you can find the prettiness later, right? So I emailed you, and on the challenge schedule page, you will also find my supplies and some of the other types of supplies that I have kind of curated on my Amazon page. So you can check those out if you want to. Also, let me see. I thought I had the link to the challenge schedule. Here we go. Oh no, that's the share. I thought I had the challenge schedule page link on here, but it seems like I don't have it on here. But I can pull that up really quickly, I'm sure, and I can put that on the page. So the challenge schedule page, if you've not checked it out yet, the challenge schedule page is one place to find anything that you might have missed. So after today's video, you will see that the video link to watch the replay will be there for the whole challenge. Also on the challenge schedule page, any free downloads that we've handed out so far, any emails that we've sent, any information you need to know, any links, they're all going to be on that challenge schedule page if you missed anything. So let me see if, there we go. Let me add this real quick. I tried to make it so there's just one page, one place for anything you missed. So if you don't see something on the challenge schedule page that you need, please shoot us an email. We'll respond and let you know. Oh, that's why. there we go. So SuzannaKaye.live/challenge-schedule. That's where you can find the challenge schedule page with everything you might have missed from each day, or if you want to recap, if you want to review it, it's there all 3 days of the challenge and then a little bit of time afterwards as well to make it easy for you. Let's check the comments real quick. Sorry, I'm making sure that I figure out where I left off. Okay, there we go. Melanie. Hi, Melanie. She says, hi from Pathfinder, Melanie in Southern California, here for a refresher. And looking at my action file, I need some action on it. Not a problem at all. You are in a perfect place. I love that you're here. Grandma C says, ooh, good question. What about graduate and wedding invitations? Save the date notices. I need to get them off the fridge. I'll go deeper into this tomorrow, but to give you an answer right now, if you have a number of things that you plan to attend, maybe you travel a lot, or you go to a number of different events, or you want to go to different events, save information for places to go, then you can have a to attend or to go to, whatever you want to call it. Make sure it starts with the word to, remember, because it's an action, but you can create a folder called to attend. And then that way, once you add it to your calendar, and it is okay to clip the calendar to the front of your action file if you need to, wherever you keep your calendar, enter it there first. Then you can put it right in your to attend folder. And when it's time to attend, then you will have all the information right there, your address for it and all the good stuff. Now, if you don't attend a whole lot of things, you can just put that in the to-do folder, and that's absolutely okay. And it can stay in there until after you've attended the event or sent your RSVP in, sent your card to them, whatever it is. It can stay in there until you're done with it, and then it can go wherever you want it to go. It can go into file or go away. Hopefully that helps you out. Gotta love those invitations. They're all pretty and everything, but sometimes we might have a few too many on the fridge. Melanie says, I've gotten into the habit of putting 99% of incoming mail right into the to-do section of the action file. I just need to get into a regular habit, set aside a certain day or time, etc., to go through it, right? You need to go through the to-do files so I don't miss any deadlines, etc. Yes, and since you're a Pathfinder, remember in the Pathfinders Plus Club, we start off our week planning session on Mondays that we do with, if you're not a Pathfinder, this is a 30 minutes every Monday. We plan out our week together, but we start off with going through our to-do file, one of the first few steps, to make sure that we know, are there any deadlines? What's due this week? So you can use that time if you need to use, maybe you don't have a whole lot of calendar appointments, but you've got a lot more to-do deadlines that you want to enter. That's fine. Use the calendar portion of the week planning session to also look through your to-do folder if you want to. The big thing is you don't have to do all the items when you review your to-do folder, right? You just need to get eyeballs on it and make sure that there's nothing important that you're missing, nothing that's coming up due. So you can do just like a to-do review, or I call it browsing through my to-do folder to see what's in there. And that can relieve a little of the stress. So on day 3, we're going to talk a bit about how to keep up with your action file, how to get used to using your action file, because it does take a little bit of getting used to, but there are absolutely tricks that make it much, much easier. And one of those will be reframing how we think of using a to-do folder, right? Because that sometimes they can feel like, dealing with the to-do folder, I don't want to. But I have a couple tips for you. And if you're an out of sight, out of mind person, I've got tips for that as well. So make sure to check out day 3 for that one, and we will go much more in depth with that. But great question. Yeah, Grandma C says she just has a big family. I love that. All right, so I talked about supplies, right? So with the supplies, on the challenge schedule page, which is, the link is on your screen. I believe the link's also at the bottom of most of your emails that you get. There's plenty of ways to find that challenge schedule page. But on the challenge schedule page, you can find a link to my Amazon store. You don't have to buy anything through that Amazon store. They are affiliate links, so I will possibly, depending on the thing, I might get a little commission if you do purchase off of there. Either way, it doesn't change your price. But feel free to just look at the different options that I've pulled up because they're great examples of things that will work really well for your action file. So hop in there, get some ideas. Even if you don't choose to order through my Amazon store, that's okay. Feel free to just get some ideas going and brainstorm with some of those things that are on there. I even have this one, which I love, on there. But the supplies that you will need, you need a holder. Like I said before, you do not want this to be big. So we do not want one of those large file storage bins, right? That's going to be way bigger than you need because 10 folders or fewer. Plus, that will feel more overwhelming because most likely you will start to add other folders or other projects that don't belong with your action file. So small, 10 folders or fewer going in here. So the standard desktop hanging file storage will work really well. This one also hangs on the wall if you want to. So if you don't have a lot of desk space, then hang it on your wall. And that way it's easy to grab. Some other supplies that you will need, obviously, hanging file folders. I enjoy sometimes doing the hanging file folders that are pretty because I am the type that likes things that are pretty. So find a style that you like or a color that you like if the visual is important to you. And this is one of the few invitations that you have for me to go out and buy something. So have fun with it, make it yours, make it something you like. Now, I prefer to use action files that have either no lid at all or a lid that can be easily removed. Most of the time, this is something that when you come in the house with your mail, you can quickly file things right in the folder it goes in. Most of the time, you know what needs to be done before you even open the envelope. So you don't even need to open the envelope, a lot of them, but you can just toss it right into the folder. But if there's a lid, then you are less likely to use the action file immediately, and you're less likely to remember to use it. There's something about visually seeing these tabs that are going to remind you. So preferably one without a lid. If it does have a lid, try to find one that's removable because that way it could possibly sit underneath or near it or beside it, but not on it until it needs to be. So having a lid is nice sometimes if you have people coming over and you want to be able to, not make it look like it's a file holder in your kitchen or your living room. Then you can toss the lid on really quickly and it looks nice, but make sure that most of the time that lid is off when there aren't other people around to see it. A few other things that I like to have. I prefer to have a label maker so I can make nice labels for my tabs. Not required, but this is something that I prefer. I use my label maker for so many other things as well. It's just nice to have one. Also, tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about not only customizing your action file, but customizing some of the supplies you can use with your action file. So we will talk tomorrow about how to use things such as various little envelopes and what are these? Pen pouches, pencil cases. My brain just went. Pencil cases to hold some of your supplies nearby, address books, business card books, whatever it is that works best for you. We'll talk about some additional supplies that might be useful. Things such as just having a pen nearby, an erasable pen, a pencil, a mini stapler, binder, tiny binder clips, stamps, envelopes. There are various things that just are nice to have right near where you can use them, so that way you can do some of these to-do tasks very quickly. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And we'll talk about, like I said, some of those custom supplies that will just make it easier for out of sight, out of mind people, and various options there. So hopefully that helps you out. In your inbox, you should have received the link for the free folder label cheat sheets. We'll talk more about these tomorrow as well, but these cheat sheets in your folder, they're in a full page like this. There's a couple different pages and they have those core folder types. So it tells you the type of folder, it gives you a description of what it's used for, and it gives you some examples of what types of papers to put in that folder. So this way, it's a nice, easy cheat sheet. You can put it either on the front of your hanging file folder, like I have on this one, or you can put it inside if you prefer not to see it on the front. But just cut them out, put them on your core folders. There are also some blank ones there, so you can create your own for anything that you do that's a special folder for you. So check out your inbox or the challenge schedule page to see that. And yeah, that's it for today. I want to answer the final questions in the chat or comments, and let me know if you have anything else that you have questions or comments about. Tomorrow I will be able to answer questions as well. So I will be on live 1:00 p.m. Eastern time. Again, same place, same bat time, same bat channel, right? And you can also email me if you get really stuck with anything. SuzannaKaye.com. It's hello@SuzannaKaye.com. Shoot me an email, and myself or Stephanie will try to get back to you as soon as we can with an answer. So let me just see really quickly. Jana says, I call it shopping the action file. Yes, when you're looking through your to-do folder, I like that. I'm shopping the action file. Which to-do shall I choose? Which ones are coming up? I love it. I might have to borrow that one from you if I can. Melanie says, good idea. Browsing through the to-do file on Monday week planning. I'm not using the actual calendar pages, but I could use the time to go through the file, etc. Better way for me to utilize the time. Yay! I love that. And we love having you in the planning sessions. So win-win. Dedicated time on your schedule to make sure that you go through that to-do folder and know what you need for the week. I love it. Good Pathfinders. Jenna says, thumbs up to Melanie on that one. Joe says, I apologize if you've covered this, but I would like to know what is that label you have on the front of the folders? Oh, perfect. I think I already answered this before I read your actual comment, but in case I didn't, those are the free downloads for today of, it's kind of a cheat sheet. They're cheat sheet labels. You can find them in your email inbox with your day one email. You can also find them on the challenge schedule page if you missed out. But it has several of the core, it has all of the core folders with what the folder is, the goal of the folder. So for example, to scan papers to scan before you file, recycle, or shred them. All other actions have been completed for them. Then it gives you some examples. So they've got all the core folders that you can use as reminders, and you can even write some of your own for any additional folders that are custom to you. And hopefully that helps you out. It's one of those things that it just kind of makes the habit and makes remembering each decision that you made so much easier. And I am all about taking the decisions out of life as much as we can, making the decision one time and having something that reminds us what decision we made so we don't have to keep making the same decision, right? That's my goal. Joanna says, that's me, out of sight, out of mind. You are going to love some of my tips for out of sight, out of mind, because I'm that way too. Like if I don't see it, it does not exist. Oh, perfect, Joe. No problem. And Deb says, free cheat sheet, how to get it? Hop over to the challenge schedule page. Let me put that back on the screen, or you can go to your day one email. The link should be in your day one email. If you can't find it there though, or you can't find that email, then hop over to the challenge schedule page. It's right there as well. Well, all right. You are going to do absolutely amazing with this week. I know it. Beautiful. Because A, you're here. You are doing the work. You are learning a new way. And this is definitely a new way. So if these types of things have not worked for you before, this one might work best for you. Most likely what you were trying to do did not suit your personality type and how your brain works. So the action file is one of those systems that works for so many different personality types because it's very different the way that you're thinking about your papers when they come in and your to-do items. It makes it so much easier once you get used to it. So you're going to do amazing. Today, your homework. Just build, even if it's temporary, even if it's a rough first draft, does not have to be perfect. Just build some form of action file that you can start using. So grab any box that you can find. You can create your own folders if you need to until you can get folders if you don't have any, but set up the core folders and start getting used to the idea of creating actions for your folder tabs and filing papers according to what is the next action needed, right? What has to happen first with it? What has to happen next with it? Tomorrow, we will talk more in depth about these folders. We will talk more in depth about customizing it and making it yours and perfect fit for your lifestyle. And then on Sunday, we will talk about making sure that you remember how to use your action file so things don't just go in here to die. We will also talk about if you're out of sight, out of mind. We'll talk about where to keep your action file to make it easier, ways to make the habit super simple. There's so many different ways that this can be the easiest system that you set up in your life, and it lasts for the rest of your life. So you don't have to buy another system ever again, which is awesome. All right, go build your action file. You've got this, beautiful, and I will see you tomorrow. I love you so much. Bye, beautiful.